Welcome to the desperately needed comic relief episode of Let's Play Blasphemous.
Oh, good. We're going to have a laugh.
Oh yes, we are unironically going to be having a chuckle or two. First thing, at the very beginning of the LP, I talked about the rendering effects, specifically the CRT filters. I found one that I actually kind of liked, which is CRT 2. The others I'm not too happy with, but also, for no good reason, I'm just going to punch in the Konami code here. That unlocks a costume for us.
Ancient history?
Yeah. The really strange thing about that is that it's programmed to only accept inputs from the left analog stick specifically. So if you're on PC, you don't have a controller, you cannot get that costume.
Interesting.
And to start off, this is actually, I previously alluded to this, there's a particular grinding route that I used to get tears off screen. It's in this particular section with the Mother and Mothers. Just gotta make sure you got the Cloistered Sapphire equipped. This area is kind of glitchy. Sometimes you could get through here without having to re-equip the Sapphire or get another execution, but it's that, and then you go up here. Actually, I can't remember. Oh, right. Yeah, that's just the first half of the execution route. Here, I was finally able to get the charging knell to run off screen. Took a bit of effort. Yeah, I think he knew what his ultimate fate would be, so he just ran off the side of the map.
He gone.
Yep. So this room is split off. The entrance to Morning and Havoc is at the bottom. And up here, this is the entrance to the crossover DLC. I wonder if you could guess what is coming up before it becomes obvious.
Oh. Bravo.
Guerrero sin rostro, detened vuestros pasos.
So I'm kind of torn on this DLC. Because on the one hand, Bloodstained is the most obvious choice for an indie game DLC crossover with a game like Blasphemous. And then on the other hand, this is just a standard isekai plot.
21 for 20 videos. I was hoping that this was gonna be Guacamelee.
That would have been great. Actually, listen here. I know that this is the ultimate cliche, but I think that Shovel Knight would have worked better as a crossover. Like the contrast between a completely silent knight who is pessimistic and brooding, and another who will not shut up and is perpetually optimistic. That's a buddy cop routine I want to see.
Permitidme enseñaros uno de ellos. Se encuentra tras esa puerta.
Again, most of the complaints I have with this DLC are, it's a lot of it is just that it's not very imaginative, I suppose. The gameplay is good, as we'll see, but basically Miriam just fell through a portal and we have to reconstruct the mirror to help her go back to her own world. I will say, however, that the ability we get at the end of this is worth it. It's actually quite good.
I'm impressed with the Spanish voice acting. I want to know if in the English dub they got her English voice actor back.
I will check that, and I will put the results of my research on screen right now. I would also be very interested to see if this is the same, because I'm pretty sure Bloodstained got several international dubs, right?
Several dubs, years worth of DLC content. So
yeah, that much I've gotten the bad ending once in Bloodstained and really enjoyed it. Anyway, so this is essentially where we're finding the pieces of the mirror. We're doing these little challenges that are basically just time trials.
Oh.
And the timing is also very, very strict. There are no enemies, there are obstacles that will hurt you, but there are no enemies in these trials. It's pure platforming.
Interesting.
There's also a lot of waiting, and the game expects you to kind of take advantage of certain shortcuts. Well,
oops.
Maybe we need something. Like, you can do this without any assistance, but I feel like we have recently unlocked some abilities that could help us in this time trial. That's basically a series of speedrunning platforming challenges. I don't know. We've also, this was me discovering that you can't use the Mirabras in these portals. You have to use the actual portal to exit. It's a bit of a bit of jank, but yeah, whatever, Miriam. We'll get to you. So, do you remember there was actually a mea culpa heart we unlocked recently that could help us out with this? And this is where the Brilliant Heart of Dawn really becomes useful. The speed boost you get after dodging is huge. And if you combine that with like all of the rosaries you get for like Redento and stuff like that, I'm also going to be equipping the Tiento at some point for use later. But anyway, here we go.
Oh,
huge difference.
Castlevania dashing. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so now that we are sufficiently prepared, let's tackle that again. I think we'll have more success this time. Look at him go. This is why you don't feed uncaffeinated, or why you... I'm gonna stop that joke before it gets any more embarrassing. Just note to self, don't cut it. It's gonna be much funnier that way. I also have a rosary equipped that this is like cancels, or it partially cancels the latency afterward. You can really use the Brilliant Heart of Dawn to sort of chain a larger jump across gaps. You are absolutely expected to take very risky shortcuts because these time limits are very strict.
Yikes! Whoa.
And also, oh right, I forgot that I left this in. Let's just call that our warm up. This is the real thing now. Again, note to self, do not fix that. Much funnier that way. So as you may have guessed, there are multiple challenges. I mean, yes, they are fairly difficult, this Be Blasphemous, but I don't know. I guess that a lot of it is tests of patience, memorizing the available shortcuts, and just knowing what the cycles are, essentially.
A lot of route memorization, yeah.
And there we go. I'm pretty sure that is the save room from Bloodstained, rendered in 2D pixel art. I recognize that red couch.
It is.
Mirad, el portal de la Rosa Azul se ha cerrado. El fragmento ha regresado y el cristal se está formando de nuevo. Por favor, ayudadme a conseguir el resto.
Well, I mean, out of all people, I guess Miriam would be very familiar with doing mindless and occasionally tedious side quests for various characters.
Mirad, el cristal del viaje se está restaurando.
All that's missing is that one lady who asks you to kill certain numbers of enemies as vengeance for various other hunters. It's been so long since I played Bloodstained. I really should have replayed like a couple hours of Bloodstained before doing this LP. But then again, you would have been able to see what game I was playing in my Steam profile, so that might have given the game away. Maybe I'll go back to replaying Bloodstained. I've been getting into a lot of other games recently, and
so good.
So I think there is one in every major. There's one platforming challenge in every major area, if memory serves. And this one's actually hidden behind a secret wall here. Let me see if I can remember what. I think it's the Amber Eye that you get in that particular chest the first time around. I will admit that while I was recording the first 2.5 playthroughs, I thought I had memorized where all the entrances were. And I thought that I would be able to make sure that I didn't accidentally open them. Because you can very easily walk into these challenge rooms by accident without going to all the tiers of the sea first. And I was terrified that would ruin the surprise, but thankfully I was able to avoid them.
Oh yeah, no, this is that brutal platforming. Yeah.
Some of the later challenge maps they rely even more on waiting, and it would be one thing if, it was like a trick where the game was trying to intentionally waste your time and make you look for shortcuts, but that's not always the case. There's like in the very last challenge room, I think is probably the worst one, where you are forced to spend like at least a minute in a platforming auto-scroller before you even have a chance at a shortcut. Look, I know I'm sounding overly negative, but these are actually pretty fun when you get used to them. It's, like I said, the main complaint I have about this DLC is that it's throwaway in the context of the story, and it feels like there's a lot of missed potential, and perhaps they could have gone with another indie game property that would have, I don't know, been less predictable.
I feel like 4 is the perfect number, that it doesn't overstay its welcome,
Right. I think there's 5 challenges. Yeah, there's 3 pieces missing there, so it's 5 in total, including the intro. Yeah, so while we're on our way here, I'm realizing now that there are actually some of the prayers I haven't talked about their influences yet in terms of flamenco. The main one, well, first of all, there's the Caballero, which is that's the one that we got for fighting all of the cherubs, the Midnight Children, or sorry, the Children of Moonlight. A Caballero is lyrically, it's couplets in pairs of 6 verses. It has its origin in sacred songs of Andalusia, which were chanted during the early morning procession known as Rosario de la Aurora, the Rosary of Dawn.
Okay.
Whereas the Aubad, which, if you remember, that's the one we also got for beating the Amanecidas, was the Aubad of the Nameless Guardian. An Aubad is a morning love song. A morning love song, as in the morning. Aubad. Again, these are all coming from the Latin aurum, the Latin word for gold. An Aubad is not to be confused with the opposite of it, which is a love song in the evening. That is called a serenade, from which we get the English word serenade. I also found that there are some safe spots, whether intended or not. Like you could just hug the wall on the left side, on the right side there. Oh, right. Also worth noting that an Aubade and Serenade are not technically styles of flamenco. They're poems. Maybe again, I'll briefly show the chart of flamenco music theory, which shows the various grupos and paios, which paios literally means sticks, but a grupo is in the it's the wide sort of genre category, I guess, of flamenco, and then paios are subgenres within a grupo. So to use an example of a prayer we've talked about in an earlier video, the Debla, which was the Romani prayer that we talked about before, that is a paios within Familia de las Tonas, which is the grupo.
I just find it interesting that it's not all one. Like it's all grouped under the flamenco masthead, but it's like different subgenres and subgenres of subgenres of.
Yeah, like
so complicated that you need the chart.
Yeah, like we shouldn't be confusing them. It would be like imagine saying to a metalhead that all metal music is the same, or that there's no distinction between them.
Yeah.
I tried my best to make these edits as smooth as possible, but I really could not ultimately hide the the heads-up display in the top left corner. That's a glitch that sometimes happens in that area. It really depends on when you time that particular. Also, you remember from Hondo, those things hurt you, so you have to dash away.
Yes.
Yeah, like I mentioned before that there are no enemies still in these challenges, but that doesn't mean there aren't hurtful obstacles.
I love taking a little jump off the lantern.
Yeah, it feels really good when you can get it right. Oh, and this is not the section I was talking about with the more egregious auto-scrolling. It gets much worse later. Like, again, the issue that I have with this is it's more that this is you're expected to take these shortcuts, but there aren't as many as you would think. Like if every auto-scrolling section in these challenges had a high-risk, high-reward shortcut, I think I would be less upset about it.
Yeah.
Did I ever really talk that much about that particular climbing mechanic? We've seen it very often, but I guess it's like how in the Tomb Raider reboot, Lara has the ability to like stick the climbing axe into surfaces like snow or rock, and how you can do a jump upwards to increase your vertical climbing speed. It's I guess it's kind of like the best comparison there. Speaking of Tomb Raider, our next Let's Play after this will be of Tomb Raider Legend, which I'm very surprised that no one has tried to do a more straightforward Let's Play of it on the forums, given that it is very short, very linear, but also surprisingly packed with detail for a game from 2006. I really liked that I was able to nail that. It's the force from the landing opening up the secret wall. That looked really cool, I think.
The superhero landing?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much satisfying animation in this game.
Yeah, even sad Penitent boys could do the superhero landing. I left that in by accident, but let's say that it was an example of some of the weird hitboxes with the spikes. Like I said, it has been significantly improved since launch. Like it was a huge issue before, and now it's, well, I would be wrong to say that it isn't an issue, but it is far less of an issue than it used to be. I'm not sure if that shortcut was intended, but I'm very glad I was able to discover it. And if it was intentional, then it was very clever. So this is the previously mentioned terrible auto-scrolling section. I ended up just using the Tiento here because after a certain point, like, I'd lost too many attempts to this one section, which really is, it's fake difficulty is what it is. It is.
Yeah. There's probably a method to this madness. Whoa.
There is a small shortcut over here. I mean, a little bit, but that really is only like 10-15 seconds. And then there's this run here, which you're expected to go through here with all of those with like that particular what would you even call it? Like those, we've seen that before from I think it was in the Sleepy Canvases. Those particular blades, which do far more knockback than its equivalents.
This is brutal.
It is like yes, I am cheesing this part, but also the first half of the challenge is ridiculous enough. I just felt like as an old family friend of my mother's used to say, one has limits. Thankfully, the Tiento is just a fantastic prayer. Mm-hmm. It almost feels built for this, even though it was in the vanilla game. And if I hadn't taken those shortcuts, I probably have like 4 or 5 seconds to spare instead of a minute 26.
Yeah, it's really designed to get you to start doing dumb stuff.
Which would be fine, but I wanted more dumb stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Guerrero, habéis recuperado todos los fragmentos. Volvamos a la sala del espejo.
I'll introduce you to my friend Dominique. Oh, wait, never mind. I hope I got that reference right.
Yes.
And if not, I could always change it in post with a seamless edit. Who knows, dear viewer, perhaps you've already seen that edit or heard it. Now that's a mistake I can't fix. So, we're almost done with Miriam's side quest here. Actually, we may have already completed it. I don't remember, but no, wait. Sorry. Yes, this is. I was confused because remember, one of the bosses for getting one of the eyes of the traitor is in Morning and Havoc, and I was thinking maybe I did it here by accident. No, it's later. I'd forgotten that there was the section. There was the split off room in the southeast portion of the map, one of which takes you to Morning of Havoc, the other to All the Tears of the Sea. Anyway, now that we've completed the mirror, it is time to finish this bit of DLC.
El cristal está completo. Ha recuperado todo su poder. Estoy preparada para marcharme. Debo volver a mis tierras.
I like that in this version of Miriam has kept like her kung fu high heel boots. She's primed to attack at any time. So here's our reward, the Cantina of the Blue Rose.
Podréis invocar parte de mi poder.
This is unique among all of the other prayers in the game in that it is the only one that stays indefinitely as long as you stay on a map. Like every other one, including the Compañeros, they all have cooldown timers eventually. This one does not. The trade-off being a bit strange, but we will see it in action later. I'm gonna make use of it, I think, in one of the major boss fights in the next video. And I decided to, you know, keep the Brilliant Heart of Dawn anyway. So believe it or not, we're not actually done yet with the weird video gamey shit in this video.
Oh, there's so much weird video gamey shit, I'm sure.
There is also this room, which we'll come back to. I realized I did that at the end, but hey, this is a strange little room. Slide under here and what's this? Welcome to the 2D minigame, Blasphemous Alcazar of Grief. Yeah, this was also added in the last DLC. It is basically what is kind of like the one Castlevania 1 homage in Bloodstained. We don't have any real attacks except to swing our sword once. All enemies die in one hit except for a boss. And we have 3 health pips, which is actually how the health system works in the other New Game Plus path that we're not doing in this LP. Is that it reduces your health to health pips instead of a health bar. I really like this section, even if it can be a bit janky sometimes.
It's pretty fully realized, though, you know?
So earlier on, I was talking over it, but earlier on we picked up a skull. That is the secondary objective of this minigame, is that there are 5 hidden skulls, and that will give us an extra reward. The loot that's in here is all randomized. Sometimes you get a healing item. Sometimes you get various things. In the top right corner, that is also how many tiers you can collect. You have to pay 2,500 tiers just to access the game. It's 2,500 per credit. So there's really no way to make your money back and then some unless you actually beat it. Those spikes are real bastards because their hurt box starts at the very beginning of the animation where they come up from the floor.
Mm.
And also one of the skulls is here. A real bastard move there, but accurate to the source material, I must say. Lots of hidden stuff. I can't remember how many hidden things there were in the classic Castlevanias, like stuff hidden in walls compared to Symphony of the Night, say, when it made the genre shift.
There was definitely more in Symphony.
But I mean, there's also stuff like the full roast chicken you could find in a wall or something.
Yeah. There's fewer of those than you would think.
Yeah, those skulls, basically you gotta memorize them. I found a no-hit playthrough on YouTube that I used as reference for this part. Now that I've actually had the chance to like sit down and watch this gameplay played back to me, as opposed to just like going through it, it's only now that I'm really appreciating the sprite work for this one-off section. Like this lasts maybe 6 or 7 minutes in total, and you never see anything like it again. And yes, before you ask, there is a boss fight at the end.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think they should do this game fully realized and release it for free on Steam.
Yeah. So I was just complaining about sneaky auto-scrollers. At the very, very end of this auto-scroller is one of the hardest of the 5 skulls to get. because not only do you have to find exactly the right tile to break it, you also need to time your jump so you can actually grab it. It's right here. And you have to grab it. You gotta time that perfectly, because by the time the full elevator lowers down, you can't reach it by the jump. I still don't know whether that skull, or not the skull, whether the timing specifically is like you have to hit a certain tile in the air. I think that's what happened there. Also, those are the hoppers from Grievous Ascends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these are all like 2Dified versions of enemy types from the main game that have been reimagined to fit closer into like the Castlevania 1 and 3 art style. There's also a hidden section which you cannot access from the bottom. You have to take these stairs. Thankfully, some of the crumbling platforms reappear. Usually the ones that are horizontal will eventually respawn. All that for like 60. Oh, also, there's an extra secret hidden room in here.
The Game Boy version.
Yeah, this unlocks another costume for us, which, as you said, it basically has Game Boy colors. So yeah, that is the hidden. There's actually, yeah, there's 3 basic rewards. Actually, no, there's 2, because you don't get a full reward other than some tears if you complete the full mini game. It's you have to get the 5 skulls, and then there's that extra costume that you get for finding that secret hidden room, the Game Boy room. And at this point, I'm paranoid because I know where all the locations are, but I also feel like I couldn't trust my memory at that point. So I was just slashing at any spare brick I could find, or rock tile, or what have you, just in case there was a skull that I missed there. I had multiple attempts where I was only able to get 4 of the 5 skulls.
At least the enemies don't seem to respawn.
Yeah, they don't. Although they do spawn out of nowhere sometimes. Forgot how long this is. Again, it's been like a month or 2 since I recorded this section. If nothing else, I really should go back and try and get the full ending for Bloodstained. I mean, Bloodstained does that thing where, you know, it's like with the other Igarashi Castlevanias, where there's a bad ending with a game over title if you don't follow certain conditions.
Yeah.
That's a really sneaky one. I also have Curse of the Moon, which may have also been a possible influence on this section, which itself is a more fleshed out, Super Castlevania 4 equivalent to Bloodstained. I think it was released like a few months before the full game came out.
Yes, and there is a sequel to that as well.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that. And boss room is over here, and it's a Garda Infante, the only enemy in this minigame that takes more than 1 hit to kill. I like how they still keep the dead animal club. I think is that a moose? Looks like it.
Moose or a deer or something.
Yeah, I feel like this design does a better job of emphasizing that there's a little girl at the top who's commanding the beast. Like in particular, we'll see her death animation in a few seconds. It's very cute. Yeah, if I'm being honest, the Garda Infanta fight is probably like one of the easier parts of this section. It's just the labyrinth or the gauntlet to get to her that's difficult. And that's our reward for getting all 5 skulls. Plus, we have a second reward for finding that hidden room, which is basically just a Game Boy reskin of the Penitent one's primary costume. We're actually going to be using that in the next video.
Awesome.
But, well, I'm sorry to say, but the good times, this is the good time video. The good times are almost over. There's one more room. And then we're going to get back to the eternal sadness and despair that is the main story of Blasphemous. But you remember there was a room I pointed out a couple of times. Which has a unique puzzle. Perhaps these bodies can give us a clue.
Do not return.
So I will admit that the first clue everyone passes is a bit strange, but what's even more strange is, well, let's re-enter the room now that we've had a look at those bodies, and hey, something's changed. What if we keep doing that?
2.
This seems like a pattern that is leading to something. So with everyone passes, I think that is meant to be a reference to the 4 visages. Now that we've found the 4th visage, the secret one that they keep in the basement. And half do not return, which means that the other side has to be 2.
Oh, wow.
So in here is a pretty useful rosary. It's the Silver Grape, which, with that, we've unlocked the achievement for collecting all of the rosaries from the main game. This is just a standard defense buff. The bosses you have to beat to get the true ending. So, well, I hope you enjoyed the good times while they lasted, because they won't be coming back for a while.
Let it not be said they did not have fun making this game.
Yes. Absolutely, and especially with the DLC. So now that you had some time to ruminate on this, what is your opinion on the Bloodstained crossover DLC?
Well, it certainly didn't overstay its welcome. It's interesting to see heavy movement based gameplay in this when you are not a heavy movement based guy. I don't know if it really fit Blasphemous thematically, but it looked like it was a really good set of challenges.
Yeah, it's a fun Easter egg that would not have made much sense if it was included in the base game at launch, but this was like a year and a half afterward. And as like a neat thing that you might stumble on it by accident on your first playthrough, like one of the side rooms, you can activate those, and I don't know, it doesn't punish you for going into those areas by accident, because you could die in there, as I did dozens of times while recording this footage, but it doesn't actually punish you for death. It's just a basic restart. I don't know. I guess I overhated it in my mind before sitting down to record, and then again for the commentary. But yeah, it mixed feelings, but generally leaning positive.
Yeah.
And Alcazar of Grief is just amazing. I have no complaints about that.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that.
We did. That was the 2D part. The Castlevania ripoff.
For whatever reason, I thought that was the name of the item you got from the Bloodstained.
No, that's the. Oh, I realized I completely forgot to mention the cantina of the Blue Rose. It's a very festive, usually in a major key. It keeps the time signature of 12/8.
Okay.
And keeping in with the cantina is actually a grupo. There's a split. There's a Pios that's also named cantina, but Mirabras, which is the that's the Homeward Bone prayer. That flamenco style is a Pios of the cantina grupo.
Okay.
We'll see what the cantina actually does next video. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.